Hey, how's everybody doing? This is one of those moments where I wanted to talk about something, and this comes from a conversation I just had with the gorgeous Brandy Shoemate, who inspired me to just say some words about this. And what I want to talk about is particularly black wealth, white wealth, brown wealth, Asian wealth, wealth for your family, wherever you come from. Um, as a child, I didn't know too much specifically about how to build wealth and one of the best ways to build wealth. One of the best ways that I've learned to build wealth is through something called home ownership. A lot of my friends have worked on buying homes and been able to buy homes. Some have not bought homes for whatever reason. Maybe they don't want to, they don't have the funds to do it, they don't have the know how to do it. So this is just a little bit of info that I can help put out there for anybody who might want to know or hear about how to do this. There's a lot that I'm not going to talk about, but it's going to be as simplistic as I can make it with good information that you may or may not know. Okay, so first thing about building wealth. Anybody who has tried to buy anything expensive understands the one thing you need to buy anything expensive in this world, or especially in this country, and that is credit. What is credit? Credit is a number that's calculated by the powers that be, called what, FICO and TransUnion, those two big credit companies. That is basically a way of saying, a way of a company saying, is this person going to pay me back? Right? The numbers range anywhere from in the 300s up to like the 800s. Right? Higher the number, the more likely the company thinks that you are to pay them back. How do you get this credit? Because there's two things that can hurt you if you want to go buy something expensive. One is having no credit. Two is having bad credit. You have bad credit by not paying things back, right? Or you have no credit by not using it, by just using cash to buy everything. You build credit by borrowing money. Now, as a kid, my parents kind of instilled in me this fear of credit cards and what they can do if they're mishandled. And they were right. If you are not careful, you can put yourself in thousands of dollars in debt that you have no idea how you're going to pay back. Now, I would argue that's better than student loan debt because that's never going anywhere. But credit card debt is still bad if you gain too much of it or don't use it correctly. So how should you use a credit card? I believe firmly that everybody should have a credit card. And everybody should know how to use a credit card. So you use a credit card in the exact same way that you would use your money. What do I mean? Hypothetical situation. You have a good job, right? You're bringing home $800 a week. So every week, you're bringing home $800, okay? Let's say you're living in an apartment. Your rent is $800. So, boom, 1 week of my income is going to where I live at. Cool. Okay, so now you got bills. $120 going towards electricity, $80 going towards water, $100 going towards cable. You got a car, let's say $200 going towards the car, gas, maintenance. Let's see, what else might you have to pay for? Your phone bill, right? Maybe you got $120 going towards your phone bill. Okay, so let's say that other $800 for that second week are going towards all those bills. So that leaves you with $1,600 that you have to spend on whatever you want or need. So now we're talking food, entertainment, all that good stuff. Now, most of us who have that money know we have it. We know we can't spend more than that, otherwise we get that big decline when we try to start our debit cards. So what I say to you is, use your credit card in the exact same way that you would use your debit card. And then at the end of the month, you pay that credit card off with the money that you would have spent on your debit card. So if you were going to spend $900 on food and going out and buying drinks or whatever, right? You spend $900. At the end of the month, you take that $900 out of your checking account and you put it into that credit card, pay it off. You don't want that credit to roll over to next month because then they charge you interest. Interest being the money that you pay them to lend you money. Okay, so just like that, you have a system of building credit. Now, every single month, you're paying that credit card off. Your credit's getting better. Your credit's getting better. Your credit's getting better. You can start this at a young age by getting a card, and if your parents are reliable, giving it to your parents to spend and then pay things off. Like that's what my mom did for me. She got a Macy's card, and she just bought, probably 2 or 3 things a month and paid it off. And that built my credit before I even used a credit card, before I knew what I was doing. So just like that, you have a credit history and you have good credit. That is a milestone in and of itself. If you get that far, you're winning. Okay, you got good credit. How do you get a house? So the whole house searching process, I don't want to go into all that. You get a realtor, you tell them what you want, you tell them where you want to live at, you tell them what your budget is, all those things. There are people who are going to help you find the house. Okay, let's say you're humble and you find yourself a little condo. I live in Louisville, Kentucky. Housing prices aren't crazy here. And I find a nice $100,000 condo, right? So let's say it's 800 square feet. It's like an apartment, but something that I'm going to own. It was actually my first house. It was a condo. Okay. You're going to have to spend some money to buy this house because you have to put down a down payment, a certain percentage of the overall cost. All right. For a first-time home buyer, that is usually 5%. 5% of $100,000, you got to put down $5,000. Is that all? No. You have to have certain things. Like you got to have, house insurance. You got to have mortgage insurance if you're doing an FHA loan, which the FHA loan is just a loan that allows you to put that $5,000 down versus having to put down 20, which I skipped over that, by the way. Some people think that you have to put down 20% for the house. So they think that to buy a $100,000 house, you got to have 20. Wrong. You just have to have 5 if you're using an FHA loan. And if you're buying your first house, more than likely that's what you're going to try to get. Okay? So you have that $5,000. You have your mortgage insurance, right? Money that you have to pay the mortgage company saying that, you're going to pay off your mortgage. You have to have home insurance saying that, okay, I'm going to make sure that my home, that if anything happens to my house, they'll be able to take care of it for you. Like if a tornado hits or something crazy like that. You're going to have to get an inspection for the house, which is like $300, $400. And you're going to have to get an appraisal, which is like $300 or $400. Rough estimate is going to cost you about $7,000 to buy this $100,000 house. Boom. Okay. What are your payments going to be? I don't have a mortgage calculator, but I can tell you based off experience, they're going to be somewhere in the $500 to $600 range. So the mortgage payments are going to be around $550, $650, somewhere in that area. That's how much you're going to have to pay monthly for the house. So that's basically your rent, right? Your rent payment. And just like that, you're going to have a house. Now, if the $7,000 is too much, I understand it's a lot of money to pay, but it's worth it. Why? If you own the house, the big differences between you renting the house start with your taxes. Everybody who is, had a job for a little bit, they understand that when April comes around, you'll normally get some kind of refund unless you're making way more money than all of us, right? So if you are getting that refund, the money that you pay for interest on that house, right? We talked about interest. You get that as a refund. So you're getting more money back for having that house and making your payments, right? It's kind of like a reward of being a homeowner. So you're already winning there. Second, when you own the house, you build what is called equity. I did not know what equity was for a long time. Equity is how much of the house you have paid off or how much the house has increased in value. But really it's both of those combined. So let's say after a year, you've paid off, I don't know, like It's not going to be too much. Just say you paid off $1,000 of the house with interest and all that kind of stuff counted in, right? So you now have $1,000 in equity, and that's going to grow every single year, whereas money that you've paid off. Or, or, the money, the cost of the house, the property value of the house increases in that time. So the house, when you bought it, was worth $100,000, but now the property value goes up because things go good in the market, and now that house is worth $110,000. So you have $11,000 in equity. That means you have the ability to refinance that house and collect that $11,000 and then continue to pay off that house plus that $11,000. So you're going to pay that money back to the bank, but you have that cash in hand. What are you going to do with it? You can make an investment. You can use it as a cash start a business. You could use it as cash to potentially buy another home. You have access to those funds to do things with, right? So it's powerful because now you have that money that you would not have had otherwise. You wouldn't get that from renting. You wouldn't get that from sublet. You would not have that money if you did not own a house. That is one of the biggest differences between primarily white and black families, home ownership. The power to build wealth through home ownership can be seen echoing throughout the history of this country. That is the reason that redlining was a thing. That is the reason that black families were not allowed, encouraged, or even made any way to buy homes, because they understand the power to take that wealth and pass it down to the people coming behind you, right? So that, let's be crazy. Let's say that $100,000 house after 5 years was worth $150,000. You could refinance that. You have $50,000 to do something with, to start a business, to reinvest. If you sell the house, right? Let's say you sell that house for that $150,000. But then, let's say the value, you've paid off $10,000 of your original loan. So you owe the bank $90,000, right? So you sell the house. You know what? And let's say you sold it for $170,000. You got more for what the house is worth because you did some work to it. So you got $170,000, right? You owe the bank $90,000. You pay the bank their $90,000. You take that $80,000 that you have made after 5 years of home ownership that you would not have had otherwise. That is wealth. Because now that $80,000 can go into your pocket and you can take some of that money and buy another house and do the same thing. Power of home ownership. You see how it affects parents and their kids, how it affects young people, how it affects families, and how it changes lives. This is just one of the ways to build wealth too, by not to say this is the end all be all, but you have many ways to do it. But I beg, plead with you, if you are uncomfortable about home ownership, if you don't know enough about it, ask somebody. If you have kids, tell them about it. If you have friends, talk to them about it. This is the way you change the narrative. We have to start breaking out of the mindsets that we're in. Go get it. It's there. It's just the path hasn't been exposed to all of us. But the path is there. So that's it. I just thought I'd talk about that a little bit. I hope y'all found that interesting. All right. Have a good night.